So are you confused about the best pricing method for your coaching programs? Should you charge up front? Should you do a payment plan? Should you charge monthly? Maybe you have no idea what to do or what's going to be best. And in this video, I'm going to discuss the pros and the cons of each and which I found best to work for me when I was doing health coaching. All right, so if you like this video and you want more videos like this one, if you want me to teach you all my juicy tips and tricks for marketing for your health coaching business, please subscribe to my channel and hit that bell so that you get notified when I post a video on Thursdays. Okay, so in my 5-year career as a health coach, I actually tried pretty much every single pricing method that is available. And so from that experience, I really figured out what works, what doesn't work, and the pros and cons of each. And I'm going to share all my knowledge and wisdom with you in this video. Okay, so let's start with talking about the one-time payment. Now, this is by far the easiest way to price your programs because it's simple. From a bookkeeping perspective, it's easy to track, and you are literally just taking one payment and you're getting all the money up front, which is great, and you don't have to worry about things like people defaulting on payments. So by far, it is the easiest way to price your program, and those are some great pros for this method. But some of the cons are, well, first off, depending on how expensive your program is, people may not always be able to afford it up front. So if you have a program that's maybe $800 to $1,000 or more, then there's a good chance that somebody or one of your ideal clients isn't going to be able to afford the entire amount right off the bat. So that brings me to the next pricing method, which is a payment plan. And I really highly recommend that you offer some sort of payment plan for most of your programs and services. It makes it a little bit easier to bite off for those who might not have as much money or might have some of the money now, but they're not going to have the rest till later. So a really great pro for the payment plan is it actually solves the objection to some of the money objections that might come up during a sales call. So if someone's like, you know, I really want to do this, but I just don't have all the money right now, you can be like, no problem. I have a solution for that. I have a payment plan and you only have to pay this amount now, and then we'll charge you the other amount later. So you can offer 2 payments, 4 payments, 6 payments, 8 payments or more, but I highly recommend that the length of your payment plan does not exceed the length of your program. So if you are doing a 3-month program, then you don't want to offer a 4-month payment plan or a 6-month or even an annual payment plan. You don't want people to still be paying after the program has completed. Another pro to the payment plan is that it kind of lets your money trickle out over time, which can be nice. I know personally, I actually preferred when people went for the payment plan because first off, when people gave me all that money up front, it was really exciting and I felt like I got all this money at once and I felt rich and I felt like I could celebrate, and that was super fun. But then, 4 months later, when I was still working with the client and that money had, dried up or it was no longer coming in, it just kind of felt like I was working for free, even though I know that is totally not the case. I'm very aware that these people paid me ahead of time, but it just kind of felt like I was working, but the money wasn't still coming in. So for my mindset, I actually preferred when people went for the payment plan for that reason. Now, you can offer 2 payments, 4 payments, or more. You can offer as many payments as you want, but you want to make sure that your payment plan doesn't exceed the length of your program. So for example, let's say you have a 4-month program and you're going to offer 2 payments or 4 payments. That's great because that 4th payment should come around at the end of the program, but I wouldn't offer a 6-month payment plan or an annual payment plan because you don't really want the payments to exceed the length of the amount of time you were actually in contact with that client, because possibly they could default and you may not actually be able to get hold of them. Now, that's definitely a con for the payment plan, is that sometimes people do default on their payments. Now, what do I mean by default? Well, I mean like their credit card doesn't go through, so you get a declined payment. And that can happen because they don't have enough credit on their credit card, but it can also happen because they just need to update their address, or maybe their credit card has expired. These things happen. And for the most part, people are going to be pretty good about updating their credit card information and making sure that payment happens. But occasionally, depending on the person, they can default and you might never hear from them again, right? So because of that, I think it's really, really important to make sure that you're getting paid sort of upfront for the work that you do. And that might be that you have them pay a higher price point for the first payment and then pay less for the payments that happen after that. So for example, if you are a health coach who does a lot of work on the front end, or maybe you are offering lab tests and you actually pay for your clients' lab tests, well, I highly recommend that you get them to pay a higher price point off the bat so that it covers the cost of the labs, plus it covers the work you're gonna do between then and the next payment plan. Because this has actually happened to me a bunch and it was really frustrating. I would, get people pay the first payment, we would do a bunch of the work, and then, maybe it wasn't working out or they wanted a refund. And then the result was that, I refunded them the rest of the payments because at the time I did not have a good contract. And I highly recommend that you have a good contract, because you really want to make it clear that there are no refunds. And of course, you can always make exceptions and decide to give someone a refund. So because of that potential for a default or failed payment, I do recommend that you make sure that you are getting enough upfront to cover the work you do upfront, and of course to cover any expenses. You want to make sure you're not waiting till month 2 or month 3 to actually be turning a profit on that client. The other thing I want to mention about payment plans is that you need to make sure you are using a system that sets up your payment automatically. And what I mean by that is that you don't want to have to be invoicing your client every time a payment is due. It should actually happen automatically with some sort of system like Stripe, or if you're using a system like Practice Better, you want to make sure that it automatically happens, because you do not want to be wasting your time chasing after people for money. So the only way I would ever do a payment plan is if it is something that you can get set up to debit the person automatically, because if you're sending them an invoice every month and you're going to be waiting for them to pay it, you're going to need to follow up with them, and potentially they're just not going to pay it, right? That can always happen. And you can waste a lot of time following up with these people. So do make sure you have something that is set up automatically so that it takes that money automatically off their credit card every month or every time the payment recurs. Okay, so I'm super curious, what payment method do you use in your business? I would love to know, and please let me know in the comments below. And if you are totally confused about how to come up with the prices of your programs, then you want to check out my video called Pricing Methods and Strategies for Your Signature Program in Your Health Coaching Business. I will also link to that below the video if you want to check that out. So the final pricing method is a recurring monthly payment model. So this is really similar to a payment plan. The only difference is in the way that you position it. So instead of even offering them an upfront payment, you just tell them it is a recurring payment. So they pay a certain amount a month. So maybe you have a 6-month coaching program and they're going to pay $1,000 a month for the next 6 months, or whatever it is that you're going to offer. Now, some pros of the recurring monthly payment model are that it is consistently putting money into your bank account. And if you do this, I do highly recommend that you charge a month in advance. So maybe you charge on the first of the month and then the work happens afterwards. So a really great thing about the monthly recurring model is that you get paid and then the work happens. You get paid and then the work happens. It's also very affordable for your client, and it's also easy to communicate with your client. So you're not saying, well, you can pay in full, or there's a payment plan. You're saying it's just this one thing, you pay monthly, it's going to automatically come out of your account every single month. Now, some cons of the monthly recurring model are, of course, the same as the payment plan. People can default. Sometimes payments fail, and you will have to go after your client to make sure these things get paid. So there is that, right? The money gets trickled out. So you want to make sure you're getting enough money up front, and it may be again that they pay a higher price point up front, and then it starts with some reoccurring amount that happens every month. Now, in some cases, retention can be an issue, and what that means is maybe once your program is done, you start charging them a lesser recurring amount just so they have access to support. Maybe they have access to you in a Facebook group. Maybe they get access to one appointment a month. Maybe they get access to a Q&A call a month or a group coaching call. And sometimes the retention of that can be an issue. I would say with any recurring revenue, retention is always an issue, meaning that if people don't feel like they're using something, they're going to drop off. And this is not about you. It's not because you're a shitty coach or because you're not doing your job properly. All monthly memberships have retention as an issue, meaning that it can be hard to retain people. So you really do have to try to make it worth their while and provide enough value that they actually stay in that monthly membership. Okay, so which model have I found to work the best in my business? Well, personally, I actually prefer the monthly recurring option because like I mentioned in the beginning of the video, although it was really nice to get all the money up front because you feel like a rich bitch and you're like super excited, like months later when I was still working with this person, it always just kind of felt like I was working for free, even though I totally get that that's ridiculous and not the case. But just for my own mental state and my mindset, I really loved getting the recurring revenue because it meant that I didn't spend it all up front. It meant that it kind of trickled into my bank account. And personally, I just really like that model. So it's going to be up to you as to which model makes the most sense for you. You're really going to have to decide what's going to work best for your business and what's going to work best for you and your clients. But I do challenge you to experiment with all of them and see what works for you because you may have a totally different perception on these than I do. And in the end, what works for me might not work for you. Okay, so if you are a new health coach and you're just getting started, and if you're watching this video, there is a good chance that you are, and you are still trying to figure out who the heck you are talking to, maybe you still haven't defined a niche and you maybe don't even understand why it is important to niche down, I encourage you to download my free Create Your Money Making Niche, which is gonna help you define your niche, which to be honest is one of the most important things that you can do for your business and your income when you are getting started. And I will link to that below this video. And guys, if you like this video, please let me know by liking it, subscribing, and if you think it's gonna help someone, maybe one of your colleagues, maybe one of your business besties, make sure to share it with them so that this video can help more people. All right, so I hope you enjoyed this video and I encourage you to go test out these pricing methods, then come back to this video, let me know, and let me know how it went.